the Brown boys, the Brown boys, the Brown boys, we the Brown boys, the Brown boys, we the Brown boys. But yeah, man, so we are here to discuss the disrespect that I heard of Dwayne Wade. I think Charles Barkley, I went over this the other day. Charles Barkley said that LeBron James stacked teams, which he does. And we all know this. Now, at this particular stage in his career, I agree with it. If I'm 41, about to be 42, I want to play with the best players. I want to have an opportunity to win. So I have no problem with the Philly move. But I also have no problem with what Charles Barkley said. LeBron stacked teams. So Charles Barkley was talking from another athlete, another person that was in that upper echelon class. And LeBron is in the GOAT debate. So when you comparing him to the other GOATs, the other people that's in the GOAT debate, you got to compare their characteristics. And Kobe and MJ don't have those characteristics to want to be with all the greatest players. They want to beat all the greatest players. So I just don't understand what the hoopla is about. But let's get into this, because the conversation that Jason Williams had the second go around, I thought was highly disrespectful. And I thought it was just absolutely a lie. So they always talk about, respecting the athletes, protecting the players, and Black lives and all this other stuff that they say on the news. But every time it comes to any other player other than LeBron James, then it's bash everybody. You can call Russell Westbrook. You can destroy everyone else's career. But LeBron has to look a certain way. I just think that's kind of weird. But hey, let's just play the video and let me see if y'all agree with me.
In the past,
the number one knock on LeBron for older guys like myself has always been, yo, man, you always stacking your team. He stacked it in Miami. He stacked it in Cleveland. He stacked it in LA.
Wait, I don't know if y'all caught that. He said for older guys like himself. So he's not speaking for everybody. He said for older guys like himself, guys that have that old school mentality of basketball, not this Gen Z or whatever version of basketball that some of us don't think is real basketball. But let's go back.
He stacked it in Miami. He stacked it in Cleveland. He stacked it in LA. Now he's stacking it in Philly. So that, to me, I'm going to still have the same criticism I've always had. He's always stacked his team.
all right, Monica McNutt, Brian Windhorst, and Jay Will, I'll start with you. Is that fair?
And I love Uncle Chuck. The biggest flaw in this argument for me is that, people treat player agency as if it's less legitimate than.
Wrong. He didn't make an argument. He made a statement. He was being interviewed. He made a statement. He didn't argue with anybody. He said, for old guys like me, which I agree with that statement, let LeBron James stack his teams. He was in his prime stacking team. He was in his prime when he went to Miami. I have no issue with what he's doing now. When he went to Miami, he stacked that team. When he went back to Cleveland, he stacked that team. Before he left Cleveland, I thought he had a stacked team. He just couldn't get over the hump. But it is what it is. But I just don't even like the way it started off. His argument, he's not making an argument. You ask most people, would Kobe or MJ go to those teams that LeBron went to? And most people would know that MJ wouldn't do that, or Kobe.
Front office agency. So when Red Auerbach, finds a way to stack a team, he's exceptional. He's a genius. When Brad Stevens does it, he's a visionary. When Jerry West does it,
Brad Stevens, Jerry West, none of these guys are in the GOAT debate. And you're conflating the conversation by taking what Chuck said as a statement from older players like himself and mixing it in with GMs and other players that's not in the GOAT debate. Nice try, but LeBron James is the only name that you name in that GOAT debate. And when you compare him to the greatest players in the world, then it has to be, his mentality has to be compared, his game, his everything is going to be compared to those other two gentlemen. This is why I think it's stupid to do this GOAT debate, because you're all going to take away from the people that you like. Why can't we just enjoy Michael, Kobe, and MJ, all for what they brought to the game? Why do we have to have this debate? I think sports shows would cancel without this debate because most of these sports personalities don't know a lick about sports. And Roger Mayweather's famous line, when he used to say, most of these people don't know about boxing, most of these people don't know about basketball. They just talk LeBron, GOAT, clutch sports stuff every single day. And it's kind of annoying. I really wish they would stop this debate because then we can learn the new players that's in the league. We can build up the new superstars in the league instead of keep beating the same dead thing that you're never going to be able to prove. Now, if you want to say there's GOATs of an era, I can go with GOATs of an era. But one overall GOAT, I would say MJ just because what he brought to the game, but I really don't like it. I really don't. Because what do you say to Bill Russell? What do you say to Kareem? What do you say to Wilt Chamberlain? What do you say to all these people that played so well and done so much justice to our game? I just think it's sad that we are always at this conversation.
He's such an incredible leader, but somehow when a player kind of takes in his own agency to do that for himself, then it becomes a character flaw. And I think that's the flaw overall in the argument. Like this is a different time and an age where players feel as if they're bigger than the franchise. It's the way people follow the game. And I think LeBron James is one of the rare few that because of his agency and because of the power that comes along with being LeBron James, that he can pick and choose and kind of skew the rails in the direction he wants. And I don't think that's a character flaw. I think it's just the genius of LeBron being a GM and being the player that actually demands that type of control as the player he is, one of the greatest to ever do it.
Monica.
I wouldn't call it a character flaw, but he may have some competitive issues. He might love to win so much that he want to stack the deck. I don't know. Kobe Bryant is one of the guys that want to persevere through everything. This guy broke his finger in a game or dislocated his finger, his shoulder, and he's going to will himself to a victory. He'll shoot left-handed. He'll crawl out in the court if he could. If he felt like he could help a team, that's what he would do. So I wouldn't classify it as a character flaw, but it is something to be said when you compare him to the other GOATs is what I'm saying. And LeBron is the one who ushered in this whole ideal that players should be empowered and run the league. And our game has suffered from that. That's why most people didn't watch. They like that old school style of play. But let's keep going.
Jay was so eloquent, and I love that. But basically, this is, okay, you got it, whatever. Like, this is the way that the league goes right now. You know what I mean? Like, I think what LeBron is attempting to do here late, and I think in the rest of that conversation, Charles Barkley actually reintroduces his GOAT conversation. What he is attempting to do, and Wendy used this word in our earlier conversation this morning, ridiculous, with all the positive connotations. Like, everything about his career so far to this point has been ridiculous. To come in with all the pressure that we remember 20-some years ago as the #1 overall draft pick, and to only exceed, why would the last couple of years not also fall into that category in terms of an opportunity to bring a trophy back to Philadelphia? Like, I have no problem with this, and I'm fascinated to see how it unfolds.
Wendy, I'm fascinated to hear your perspective on it. This dates back, obviously, to the original decision when he took his talents to South Beach and all the things that have happened since. Does Charles Barkley have a point?
Well, Charles very clearly was speaking as a Hall of Famer, top 75 player. He's talking about what his and his peers' viewpoints are. I can't speak to that. That's what Charles is saying he views it as. I would just say, absolutely, the team in Miami was stacked. And absolutely, he, Bosh, and Wade came together to stack it. The following free agencies, I'm not sure that's true. He came to Cleveland. They hadn't made the playoffs in 4 years. They did the Love trade. Kevin Love had no history of any success in the playoffs. If you want to
see how they disrespect other players. Kevin Love had no history of making it to the playoffs or doing anything in the playoffs. He was in Minnesota. When Kevin Garnett wasn't making it to the playoffs in Minnesota or wasn't doing well in Minnesota, did we ever take away from Kevin Garnett's game when he's averaging 23 and like 12? Same thing that he was doing. How can you take away from Kevin Love when he was averaging like 23, 24, and 12? So no, just because you're on a losing team, that's why a lot of players want to get out of losing teams so they can get to a team that's a little bit better. So you're going to downplay Kevin Love to upplay LeBron when Kevin Love was one of the best power forwards at the time? That's crazy.